Hello everyone and welcome to the JBR Play E3 special. So today I'm joined by Tom and Ben, and Tom's going to take the lead on this one actually, and what we're going to do is kind of discuss the highs and lows of E3 and our favourites, and we've kind of actually all made a list of top 10s, and we're going to discuss why we picked those games. So over to you, Tom.
Oh, hello. Well, I thought I'd start the list out by talking about people's honourable mentions. So I thought I'd start with Ben. So if you want to go through your two honourable mentions
Hello.
first.
My two honourable mentions. I went with the new Ori and the Blind Forest, which is what's it called now? Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and A Way Out. Ori because it's just I haven't got around to playing the new one, the original. But I've watched a lot of people play it, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. And it's a platform which is, they're always really good fun. I just need to get around to playing it, so I'll probably play through that and then play this new one. Because it's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Would you know much about the story though?
The story, I'm not really sure about it. Our friend Sai plays it a lot. He's obsessed with it. So I just need to, just bloody play the thing. Because as you say, I don't know anything about the story, but just watching it, the little creature is adorable. The actual art design is just fantastic, and I just think it looks amazing to me.
So you're kind of going, would you think if you knew
That's
more
why it's not
about
on the
the
list,
story?
because I don't know enough to say I'm going to put it on my list.
So that's why it's honourable mention and not...
Yes.
on
It
the actual
definitely,
10.
everyone I know who's playing it, or the reviews all said it was a very good-looking game, the first one, and at least they liked it a lot. Platforms really aren't my thing, so it's not really something I was going to pick.
Yeah.
Way Out, haven't looked into that much.
Way Out, yes. Me and John, we talked about it, didn't we? Because it's an exclusively co-op game. You don't play it on your own. You can only play it in co-op because, if anyone doesn't know anything about it, you have two characters. One person is each character watching, a different screen of that person, and then what you do affects the same world. So, for example, like I don't know, if like the door was barred from one side, someone could go around and open it for the other person, for example, or like you can get a bit more in depth and have like someone is, because I think you're in a prison. So if someone's been like got the guards.
No, you
on
definitely
them,
are in a prison.
You are in a prison. There you go.
Yeah.
So if someone has like the guards on them or something, the other person could start a riot, like in the lunchroom, and then the guards be like, "Oh shit, we've got to go and deal with this." So it looks really cool.
It looks
Original
very promising.
concept.
It does look very promising. The only thing is because it's early access at the moment. That's why I didn't make my list.
Oh, is it?
It's a kind of game that intrigues me. I don't know if it's going to be on sale as early access, but right now it's in the very early stages. And because there's a lot of different game mechanics to it, I'm holding fire on getting excited about it because it does seem like the kind of game I would love. But I've had it with games before like this where there's so many different mechanics that go in like that, and it sounds really awesome in theory, but then when you actually get to the game, they don't quite pull it off, and I'm really hoping they do.
Yeah. Well, I think that was
I'm just holding fire until
the slogan of 2016. Not quite there.
Not what you expected.
Not
Anyway.
what you quite wanted. Yeah.
I think we should move on to John's two picks then for his honourable mentions.
So my two honourable mentions are Battlegrounds for the Xbox and Crackdown 3. The reason they're only honourable mentions and not on the list is because Battlegrounds is a fantastic game and it's really good fun, but we've already got Battlegrounds on the PC, so it's not like it's a brand new game that's for the console. Like we play Battlegrounds a lot. For people who don't know Battlegrounds, it's basically there's 100 players and you can either be on a solo team, a doubles team, or in a team of 4. And you have to eliminate every other player on the map. You jump out of a plane, you find guns and items around the map, and the map gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and your team basically has to be the last team standing to win. And it's a really simple but clever concept at the same time, and it works really well. But because it's already out, as I said, on PC, and we all have it on PC and play together, I didn't feel it should be on the top 10 because it's not as if it's a brand new game.
My list disagrees with you.
And then what about Crackdown 3 then?
So Crackdown 3, I'd never played Crackdown 2, but I played Crackdown 1 and I absolutely loved it. I love the concept of you started off fairly weak and you can make your character stronger and stronger and stronger in a GTA-style engine environment, which was really cool. But the third one, they showed something for it ages ago, and now it looks a lot different and not as good. It's like they've taken some stuff out. Me and my friend, I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure they've taken out a lot of like the destructible environment.
Oh yeah, when they had the show where they showed off all the buildings collapsing, that looked
Yeah.
insane. I was thinking that would be in a major part, but yeah, they seem to have steered away from it or not acknowledged that it's not a part of the game anymore yet.
So hopefully it is still in there, but they didn't show that at E3, like you said. So I'm a bit concerned, and that's
What
why
about
it's only
Terry
an honorable
Crews?
mention that they've taken something away from it when it looked really promising beforehand. So hopefully they have kept it in, but it doesn't look like it from this E3. So yeah, those are the reasons why they haven't quite made the list. Both good games, but there's just something not quite there to get them on the top 10.
Well, finally I'll go through mine. Mine were Age of Empires: The Definitive Edition, which I
Yeah.
felt was just too much. I really liked the
Ooh.
HD edition. I didn't play Age of Empires much when I was younger, but the fact that it's just it's not like it's Age of Empires 2 HD was coming with the Conquest as well. It's just the base game, just with graphics updated.
It's the first one, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
the,
the first
yeah,
one,
it's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
number 2, it's the original.
Which
Yeah.
I guess is better than the HD, because the HD was literally just a small. They just made it run better, really. But
Yeah.
the Definitive Edition is they're doing the graphic fidelity and everything, and all the particles are looking better. So I'll probably get it for that reason. And then my second game was Metro Exodus. I really liked the first one. Second one I thought was okay. I think it only took me about 4 hours to beat that one. So I was a bit lackluster. They're always very beautiful games to look at, and I love the whole aspect of how your money is like bullets, and in the dire
Yeah.
situations you can use your money to kill people. So you
Yeah.
always get that like, I need to kill these people, but I don't want to spend my money.
Put some pound
So,
coins in.
So I'm very much
It's when you just resort to like melee action, saving the pennies, whack them
yeah,
on the
or
head
just
with them or
sneaking
something.
around. But those were my two. Unless anyone has anything to note, we'll start moving on, I think.
No, I mean Metro is a very good series. To be honest. I was the same as you. I didn't play the second, but I love the first one. So that is a game I'm looking forward to, but just not as much as the other games from
I need to finish the first one.
E3.
But if I remember the first one being, they had a level where you were in a library, and there were those monsters that like, they only went for you when you moved, and they couldn't see anything. But I remember it being really creepy, because you could hear them walking around, and just like, please don't come in my room. Please don't come in my room.
It's just
And,
mine. Not yours.
So I think we'll move on to the 10th position on the list. I'll just preface this by saying I did a rough score ending up on which games by adding up. First place got you 10 points, and it went down in order 0 for 10th place. And basically, the games that were highest scoring are at the top of the list, and games that were lower scoring are obviously at the bottom of the list. But number 10 was actually a joint between 3 games, and it was Monster Hunter, which was Ben's 7th place pick. John's 7th place pick as well, which was Need for Speed, and my 7th place pick, which was Far Cry 5. Now, I quite liked the idea of Far Cry. I'm quite surprised it wasn't featured on any of you guys' lists, Far Cry.
It's Far Cry. I mean, I'm expecting the same stuff again. The problem is, I loved 3, but I think I loved it so much because of the character, because of Vass. He actually made it really interesting to me and fascinating. So I think it was that, as well as like the gameplay together, made it just work for me. I played 4. I traded it in really quickly because it's not as engaging as it was
Kind of
in
like
3.
the Caribbean setting, like they had, on the islands. I liked that more than the
Yeah.
Himalayas.
That's why I saw this one was like, was it like America? I was like, yeah, it's cool. I mean, it looks cool. There's nothing. I'm not saying it looks bad. I'm saying I might pick it up one day if it's cheap, maybe. But I'm not in a rush.
I'm in a similar situation to Ben. I love the third one, and to be honest, the other two though, there was just the advertisement for Far Cry 3 was really good, and like Ben was saying, Vass was such an interesting character, and they knew they had a good character of him. You could tell they knew they had a winner because he was very heavily featured in the advertisement leading up to the game coming out. And I just don't feel with any Far Cry games since they've had any characters, either playable or antagonists, protagonists.
Blood
that drawn
Dragon
you
was
in.
pretty insane.
Yeah, but that was, you could argue that wasn't like a full game. That was more of like an add-on
Yeah.
for 3.
I think 4 was definitely lacking.
And Primal, again, I just hear they're pretty much the same game. So
I actually haven't played Primal.
I'm hoping this one stands out as something different. I do like with Far Cry how they do kind of make each game in a very different environment, but they still feel the same. So I don't know. There's nothing that drew me in too much with this Far Cry. Like I said, it looks interesting, but there's nothing that really kind of kept my interest.
Yeah.
So, if you want to look at Need for Speed then, which was John's pick.
Right, let me just start with why I picked this, because obviously you could also argue Need for Speed games are very repetitive.
I will say mine used to be on my honourable mention, so I do have interest in it.
The reason I picked it is because I haven't, to be honest, I felt like since Need for Speed Most Wanted on the 360, Need for Speed games haven't really been the same since. They
The
kind of-
first one, not
so
the
you had
second one.
You had Carbon, which was still really good, but not quite the same. And then they went to then they tried professional track day racing, which was cool, but it wasn't what Need for Speed was about. And then they kind of went back to the streets, but they kept it as like classic cars, and you couldn't really design like street racer cars anymore, which I guess wasn't really the phase anymore. But it's a shame because I really love the car customization you could do in Most Wanted. But the reason I picked this one is because it looks like they're kind of taking a Fast and Furious approach that they did with the film series. They're going away from the street racing side, and it looks like they're going on to kind of like car heists, which I think would be really good fun to play because, okay, Fast and Furious may not have the strongest storyline, but you can't deny that the heist scenes and the action scenes are fantastic. And if you can turn that into a video game, like in the trailer they were stealing a car, I think it was a Koenigsegg, from a truck. And it just looked really good fun. It was like the whole heist idea behind it and everything. I was like, that's really cool. If they've done that properly, that could be a fantastic game, and I'm really up for playing that and giving Need for Speed a go.
Yeah.
So it could be the game that brings me back into the Need for Speed franchise, and that's why I put it on my list, because it looks like they're willing to take the risk of changing it up.
I hope so, because I mean, I played the old, the newest Most Wanted. Remember they redid the new one, like it's the new Most Wanted, and it was just not anything near like the old one was. To get a new car, you had to go and find it in this open world, and then you get it. And then I think the only way to change the color was like to go through like a petrol station or something while you were in a race, something weird like that.
Fill up your car, get a free paint job.
That was it. There was nothing to it. I thought, this is the most bog standard, broken down thing ever. So yeah, I have, as I say, I have faith in it, but not enough to be on the list. I will probably still pick it up, but you know, I'll wait and see what you think first.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one I get because I'm willing to give it another chance. Like I said, because Need for Speed Most Wanted on 360 was fantastic, and like the pink slip races for cars, the customization of your cars, and it felt like a really good street racer game. And I know it's not going back to street racing, but it feels like it feels to me like they're almost doing what the Fast and Furious franchise did. They've gone from street racing growing up into the heist films.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, if they really are kind of following that style, I'm all for it, because I personally think it made the Fast and Furious films, I mean, I love the originals, but it made them better by bringing that element into it and changing it up.
It made them
really
fresh.
worked for it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it does the same for Need for Speed, basically.
Well,
Yeah.
I think now we move on to Ben's pick, which only Ben picked, which is Monster
Fuck you
Hunter
guys.
for Xbox.
Yeah.
I've
Coming
no
to
interest in
consoles
this
and
game.
PC. PC. Yes, well, in all honesty, I've never actually played a Monster Hunter, but I've seen lots of gameplay. I've seen it on when it was on 3DS, and I wanted to get it for my 2DS. Remember we were going to Spain, John? I was like, we should all get Monster Hunter. We didn't. I just want, a game like that where you literally, you gear up your character and you hunt monsters together. I mean, what's not to like?
Well, okay, I actually did have a Monster Hunter on my PSP, and I put a lot of hours into it. And okay, to be fair, I know it's meant to be multiplayer, but I didn't have anyone to play it with, so I was doing a lot of solo play, and it was just grinding with very little reward. I remember really struggling to get the armors and the weapons I wanted, because you needed a team to hunt down the monsters to get to kill the stronger monsters. And I just remember,
well, on your own, you probably had a hard time, yeah.
Yeah, and it felt like there was a lot of effort going in for a very little reward. So that's why it's not on my list, because I know it'll probably be a lot more fun now that the mechanics have improved a lot since the one I played.
Yeah, they could put in
and
something like maybe
easier.
dungeons or some sort of like raid bosses or something like that. That makes it like, because then you have something to work towards. Like you need to get this so you can have the power to fight this.
And also, I was a lot younger when it was on PSP, so my understanding of the game would have been a lot more limited than it is now.
Yeah.
I have a better understanding of what I'm doing now. So it could be one to get into, but again, similar to your opinion on Need for Speed, I'll let you buy it first and see what you think before I buy it myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we'll move on to the first, pick that isn't multiple games, which is 9th, which was only picked by John, and it was his second position pick, which is State of Decay.
Did you two not pick State of Decay too?
No, only you picked it, and it's your second place pick.
Right.
Why do you sound surprised?
Because I thought you quite liked the first.
Come on, John. Everyone knows
State
you
of
love
Decay.
zombie games way
Well,
more
yeah.
than the rest of us.
I do. I love
You're on
DayZ.
the,
I feel like I'm about to get
what
slapped
do you
for saying
call
that. I love anything with zombies in. And yeah, the first State of Decay was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. So to be able to play with friends, I think it's just going to make it better. So have two, like, and it's not like a massive MMO. It's just two friends, so you can kind of play with like-minded
friends?
people. Yeah,
They're
it's
not 4-player in the
it's
end.
3-player co-op, isn't it? I believe.
I don't
I
remember.
will, to be honest, I probably will end up getting it mostly because with friends I could see it being
Yeah.
quite fun, but
I said probably will because
it's-
you lot will.
it's not one of my picks. I would get like just if no one else got it, I wouldn't get it. I got the original, didn't really, it didn't keep me into it, so I don't really have any enthusiasm for the second one. But with multiplayer, yeah, I could probably see myself getting it at some point.
I'm same boat as you.
It's worth it because, and one of the things I loved about the first one was the risk of if your character you were playing as died, then you lose that character, which added like a real sense of danger going out and fighting these zombies. Like you'd run into a horde, and in most games, like Left 4 Dead for example, if you go down, it's not the end of the world. You just redo the level. But if you die in this and you lose your character, that's it. As long as you don't cheat and turn the Xbox off, or so like that's it. They're gone. They're not coming
Your
back.
file is corrupted. Serves you right.
So you've got to be really careful and tactical where you go. And I really like that. It was just a nice little twist on the zombie genre to give a bit more value to the character's life and make you think twice instead of just running in guns blazing. Which, yeah,
but
I
then
really like
what
that.
if you don't like the character and you think they're a tool?
Then you just kill them off and get play as someone new.
Yeah, well.
This is for your own good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we'll move on to the 8th place, which was only picked by Ben, and it was his first place position, which was the Dishonored 2 DLC, wasn't it? Death to the Outsider.
So,
That's it. Yeah.
hang on a minute. Your number one pick was DLC. It wasn't even a full game.
Yeah, it's not DLC. It's a standalone.
Standalone
But
DLC.
it's called Dishonored 2 Death to the. So it is DLC, really.
Dishonored
Shush
2,
you.
Death to the original number 2.
Again, I'll preface this by saying I wasn't that keen on the Dishonored game. I played the second one. I played all the way through the first one. Might get it, probably won't myself.
Well, I'm, stupidly obsessed with these. I love them. I need to finish number 2. I didn't finish number 2 yet because I was going to record the last 2 levels, but I might not in the end, so I'm just going to power through and just finish it and be like, yes, I want to know what happens so I can see where this has come from. Because this, I was like, I know who she is and everything. I know everything about that. But I don't know why they're now saying The Death of the Outsider. Is this like a prequel? Is this a sequel? I'm not actually sure because I haven't finished the second.
Do you know
But,
what
I
it
mean,
isn't? Elder Scrolls
bad?
6.
Oh.
Bethesda.
Wait, what?
I was so heartbroken there wasn't a new Elder Scrolls announced by Bethesda. When they announced
I'd rather
that,
have this
instead, I was like,
Bethesda than the Elder Scrolls.
no.
Wasn't a year of exclusives, like not exclusives, new titles. A
The
year of
Dragonborn Assassin
stuff we knew about.
with supernatural powers. Well, I mean, that's kind of Elder Scrolls anyway.
I was thinking exactly the same thing though. Like when I saw the trailer for it, like why is she the character? Why aren't the old characters the main characters? What happened at the end of Dishonored 2? That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking when I was watching it.
I think this is just my opinion. What I think it's a prequel because she's in the second game, but she's got more like she's got like a bandage thing on her arm. I think she's missing, but she's missing one of her arms, and her eyes like that, but it's sort of covered up. She looks a bit healthier, is my point in this photo. So
Maybe something
I
bad
think
happened
it
at
might
the
be
end.
a prequel.
So,
maybe
yeah, well,
she
I
could
don't
be
know.
a bad
We'll-
guy.
I don't know, to be honest.
We will see. But that's what makes it.
your half an hour
exciting.
DLC.
I'm like, oh, what's it gonna be? What's gonna happen? Why is this? Why is this?
But
Ah.
don't you feel like it's going to be a bit short though? Because it's only DLC. It won't be a full-length game.
Well, I mean, John, I'm not paying full price, so fine.
Again,
How
it's
much?
just
You
exciting.
don't know that.
I think it's pre-ordered somewhere. I can't remember what it was. I saw it, but it was on Steam for like 25 quid or something like that to pre-order. So yeah, it's not a full price game.
Will you get
Okay,
it?
that's not
Finally,
bad.
you're gonna get a game on
No,
on PC, are you?
wait, finally, I've got Battlegrounds and I play
It was
Battlegrounds.
hard
Okay, a
enough to
game that
convince him
isn't
to get
an
Battlegrounds.
exclusive. There you go. Okay, we'll move on to 7th place, which was picked by John for 8th and me for 9th, which was Sea of Thieves.
Ooh, yeah. This game I've been excited for a while. It just looks so much fun.
For me, it was really a toss-up between this and Skull and Bones, which looked very similar
Oh,
to the
Skull and Bones.
the,
Ugh.
Tom, are you going to
Assassin's Creed
be
Black
a
Flag.
bit nervous though? Because there's sharks in the water. You can get eaten by sharks in Sea of Thieves.
Probably going to be nervous.
feed you to the fishes.
It's a bit cartoony though, so it probably won't have the same effect as playing like some other game with sharks in. Which
I just loved how
Like
like
Ark.
the naval battles
Yeah.
at sea, when there's like a hole blown in your ship by cannons, you see someone like getting a hammer and nails and wooden boards, and they're like trying to cover up the hole and stop the ship from sinking. And it's like a real team effort to keeping your ship going. But then if you've got someone who's completely crazy, you can just stuff them in a cannon and fire them at the enemy ship.
That was a
which
hell of a
seems like
good
really
shot.
good fun. Oh yeah, that was a good.
I
Yeah,
can
that was like a
imagine that being.
sniper
Oh,
shot.
and you missed. Just like.
But you could do it on purpose. If someone's really annoying on your team, you'd be like, go and get them. And they'd be like, yeah, jump in a cannon. You just aim the other way. And fire them
Swivel it.
into the
I can
sea.
see that happening to me a lot.
Yeah.
Do you guys see
Yeah,
a couple sharks? Tom, we're gonna fire you at the enemy ship.
Just fire him straight into the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it
it
wasn't
just looks
on-
really good fun.
So it wasn't on mine because, I mean, it looks cool and looks fun, but I don't really see a purpose, like a goal, which is what makes me go a bit like, like I don't, I'll probably still get it because you lot will, but yeah, it doesn't make it on the list because of that. I don't see like a, okay, you're aiming to do this, you're aiming to do that. It kind of seems a bit too like, let's just do whatever the fuck we want, which isn't a bad thing. It's sometimes a good thing. But I'm not that massively keen on that.
Okay. Well.
Unless
I
they
think-
bring in maybe quests or something to
I assume there will
do
be more, it'll
specifically.
be like a massively open world map, and you'll kind of like choose what you want to do, and you'll run into other teams of people on the same map or
Yeah.
something. But
Just seems a bit too open otherwise. Like just piss about until something happens.
I think we'll move
Kind of
on
like
to,
GTA without doing heists and stuff. You're kind of just doing what the fuck you want.
That's where the most fun happens though in GTA sometimes.
Yeah, true. Until your
But,
boat blows up.
Yeah, we'll move on to 6th place, which was Ben's 8th position pick and my 6th position, which is the new Call of Duty World War II. which, I'm quite excited about because especially the campaign,
World War II.
or storyline footage they had looked very good. But the multiplayer again, it depends. COD's kind of one of those games that I've really fallen out with, even though I played it loads of my time. I think the original Modern Warfare 2 is one of my most played games, like of all time.
Hmm.
And but don't know what anyone else thinks.
Well, so World War II, Call of Duty World War II does look like a massive improvement on recent Call of Duty games. I'll give it that.
Cool.
It does look very impressive.
Because they're doing what we asked for finally.
And because I really didn't get on the last few Call of Duty games. I've played them, and there's something missing. Like the
Yeah.
original Modern Warfare, the way Thomas described Modern Warfare 2 is how I felt about the original Modern Warfare, and I loved it. And I just really hope that now they're going back to their roots. I feel they kind of really strayed too far from what they're about, and they kind of dipped their toes into other waters, which we've already got covered. Like, we didn't need these future shooter games. We've got Halo already.
Titanfall, that sort of thing.
And Titanfall, exactly. Yeah, especially Titanfall. That's a good point. That's even more similar. It's like we didn't really need Call of Duty to go in that direction.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure why they did, and it got a bit silly as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for having like fun and good laughs in these games, but it kind of like your armors being bright pink and stuff like that. It didn't feel as believable. Like the good thing I loved about Modern Warfare is it felt quite believable as a military story. These ones just felt like they were getting further and further away from reality, and
Yeah.
it looks like they're going back, which is good. I'm just going to wait a bit until I see more before I put more faith in it.
Yeah,
I mean-
because my favourite one I think was Black Ops 1, to be honest. I just really like the setting and the era and the story. I thought was great. And it's just like, as you say, the set pieces. I mean, it's called Duty, so they're outrageously ridiculous, but they felt a bit more real, like you're saying. Like, I can believe this is happening, rather than like, okay, this is happening in space. This is on the moon, whatever.
Jon Snow in space.
Jon Snow in space.
I actually played through the Infinite Warfare campaign fairly recently, and I actually quite liked it. The multiplayer I'm not a fan of at all. I prefer the boots on the ground motive, but the storyline itself was very interesting. It wasn't all just shooty. A lot of it was shooty while in a spaceship, which is completely different.
But we
Really?
have Halo for that. Like, there's that
So,
level in
yeah.
Reach. I know it's only one level in Halo like that, but Halo Reach, the mission where you're in the sabers, that's sick. Halo needs to do more levels like that actually in the future games. I'd be very excited. We didn't get any Halo E3. I'm
I
sad.
think
Well, he's
we
surprised.
will move on then to pick number 5, which was picked by John's 6th position and my 3rd position, and that is Middle-earth: Shadow of War, which God, I'm excited for. I've been replaying the original recently because it's only £3 on Steam. I'd recommend anyone who hasn't played it to pick it up. But that's it's a very good game, and I'm really looking forward to expanding on what the original offered. I like the whole invading the the entire, like, that, almost a fortress now, rather than it just being a stronghold. It's a fort you're trying to take, and it seems very they've really taken that aspect of being, I don't know. There's lots of very cool features they showed off that were just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be so much fun. Because a lot of, I think what made that game was you felt almost very like cool doing all the stuff, like beheading people and all these actions. It all looked very smooth, and you felt like you were some amazing swordsman fighting these people. And I'm always a much more big fan of the combat than the stealth side of most games. So for me, it was a dream come true to be able to just like run at a fort with hundreds of enemies on each side.
Well, it's nice to give you the choice as well. If you want to stealth, you can. And then when it goes wrong, you're like, okay, pull
So
out all the big guns.
I never actually played the first one. I've done what you've already said to me. I bought it on Steam. And it's just installing, so I haven't played it yet. But I always liked the idea of the first one. But I wanted to wait and hold fire before I bought it. And while I waited for everyone else, even though people were saying good things, I just never eventually got around to it. So I was always excited about it. But then watching the footage for the second one, E3, like you were saying about the fortress raids where you're recruiting armies of orcs to go and take down these fortresses, and it sounds like there's actually it might be basic, but there's a bit of tactics to it too, like where you tell the orcs to go and which orcs to do what job, which factions. That just had me hooked. I was like, this sounds amazing. I've got to play this. So I'm going to go through the first one for the first time, which I'm really looking forward to. But they just had me completely hooked on seeing the E3 footage and watching how it was played. And the Nemesis system always intrigued me. I thought that was really cool. So seeing that develop now in a later game, I'm just, really hyped to play
Like
it.
you say about, say, tactics. That's what was also quite... It's not on my list purely because I really enjoyed the first one. I played it all the way through, everything. It's not on mine just because, I mean, there's other things I'm more excited about. That's it, really. That's it in a nutshell. I'm not, not looking forward to it. I'm just... There's things I'd rather play. But... Yeah, the tactic thing, which I think was awesome, was when you come into, let's say, the fortresses and you get the leader, you have to look at them and you don't necessarily see, well, you have to, but it helps. It's kind of like, sort of the Witcher system where they'll have a weakness to something or they'll be resistant to something or that sort of thing, so you have to kind of work around that. For example, like, someone could be scared of beasts or, like, resistance to fire and stuff like this, which... it just changes it up a bit, and you actually have to think about what you're doing rather than just running in, just mashing buttons till it dies, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it, but I think we'll move on to 4th place, which is the first game that everyone had on their list, which was Ben's 5th pick, John's 4th pick, and my 5th pick, and that was Anthem, which came out of nowhere. Looks like Destiny with power armor.
Yeah, so one thing that had me really sold was I know it's going to be something that's important for Ben was the talks of armor customization and decorating your armor. I realised we're not actually going to play with Ben because when we're all doing missions, he'll be stuck in the workshop just decorating his power armor.
You know that video of the Destiny guys like glimmer?
No, I haven't seen that. Was it you who made that video?
That's pretty much me in Destiny, yeah. Like, oh, this looks nice. Let's wear this. Oh, this is cool. Oh.
But the flying as well. So when they were just flying around this big open world, that looked very cool to me. And the storms, like the weather effects, kind of flying around and suddenly being hit by a storm, looked really cool. And the game and the fighting mechanics looked promising as well. So it feels still like quite a mystery to me, this game. I don't feel like I know huge amounts about it, but everything I do know about it, I really like, and everything I saw, I loved. So it's just a game that's got me curious, and it's got a huge element of mystery to it, in my opinion. But it looks so much fun.
Are fans of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's everything I
Styles.
like, basically.
Yeah.
All I'll say is I can't wait for future years when it looks more and more like a straight line thing, and all the stuff that made the original look so well. The original footage we saw look amazing. Suddenly is like a distant dream because it's not in the full game.
Yeah, I can't wait for the day that we actually get the E3 footage on our consoles. Hope we don't get that Division thing again.
Hear that?
Yeah, it's like, oh, look how good it looks. You don't get that. You get fuck off.
What did you guys like about the Anthem trailer that kind of made it go on your list?
I liked the free flying they had, and then when he stopped and you could see almost the environment like I don't know, you could see that big monster fighting other smaller monsters. It just looked very. It made the world seem a bit more alive. Like whereas when you see Destiny, it's like enemies, enemies, more enemies.
In the
that's
same
it.
spot they always are.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the same. But the point is, at least
Yeah.
there's some sort of interaction going on. Like, if anything, like at least going back to Shadow of War, like you just go around and you can just see orcs just chasing humans around, like slaves. Or you can stop them and the humans will just run off. Or you can start fighting the orcs and the humans will come in and start punching the orcs. The world's alive. It's just got a bit more like, and that's what I liked about it. I liked that whole side of it.
One thing I wasn't a fan of, I don't know if this bugs you guys, but the way the characters talked between themselves, they sounded like gamers. They were like talking about EXP and like looting and stuff, and they talked about it like gamers talk about it.
No, but
I'm pretty sure.
I think you're
yeah.
trying to say they sound the opposite, John. They don't sound like gamers because they're going like, oh my god, we need to move up on that. Oh my god, a legendary. Oh my god, who dropped this?
So,
oh.
But you know what I mean? It's I think it's meant to be a humor thing that they're like kind of parodying games, but it feels like it just takes me out of the game.
John. Is it not like they did the same thing with Division? It's the gamer playing, and they're just talking like that.
I think that was actors. I think that was actually in-game
sure?
voices. I could be wrong. I felt like
they
it
did
was.
the same thing with the Division. They were being like really like professional, like we need to like, but then they were like, oh my god, that was a really cool kill. Well played.
I thought why is because they were talking about bringing someone in, but the way they were talking about it made it sound like it was another character who wasn't a player. I could be wrong. I could misunderstand, but that was what I felt like, and I felt like it really took me out of the game. Well, it felt very scripted. But yeah, it is.
They always do.
Go back and watch E3 Division. I keep going back to it because it was just like that. Extremely scripted the way they were talking about it.
That game was a lie.
When they're running around and they slowly like move, they move really slowly and cinematically around as they're looking at stuff. Like there's enemies over there, and they don't. The one that gets me is when they don't sprint and they run everywhere. Like 'cause they want to like give everyone a view of what's going on. And unless anything else has anything else to say, I'll move on to the third game, which is, in my opinion, a very big advocate for walking around slowly, staring at things, which is Destiny 2, which was Ben's third pick, John's ninth, and my first pick.
Oh, you bitch, John.
So, yeah, it would have been much higher on the list had John not put it as ninth.
Can I have a chance to explain?
No, you don't get
it.
Shut up. To the pit!
Go away.
Nathan Fillion is the main reason I'm excited for Destiny 2. More Nathan Fillion can only be a good thing. But Destiny 1, when that game first came out, we all loved it. And I'll fully admit, I loved it when the first Destiny came out. And then they just changed it too much. They made it too different. And then they were selling all the DLC as like a new game, like effectively as a new game. So it was like you had to re-buy the game. And I just felt like that was a bit of a slap in the face to their customers, because they admitted as well that the game wasn't quite finished when they released it. Like, this was stuff that should have been in the original game. And I just feel like that was a bit of a mick take, and that's kind of crossing the kind of customer-client relationship. And to me, I felt a bit, and I love Bungie because Halo is one of my favorite games of all time. And I just felt like that was a bit far for me. I was a bit kind of like, well, you know what? That's not really looking after your, it's not really looking after your customers. So, and then I didn't like the new change. I wasn't a fan of the new changes, like the light level system and stuff.
I think it saved the game. The light levels. There's so much of what made Destiny was saved. Like, the original game was such a grind fest, and I'll solidly sit by the logic, John, that you don't like grind fests when it comes to games at all.
I do not.
Well, you don't like MMOs at all.
Yeah,
so.
like you were talking.
Well, it's not
about,
I don't like them; they just don't really interest me.
You were talking about Monster Hunter and how that was a grind, and I was just sitting here thinking, that's why you didn't like Destiny for the same reason. And the original game was just a huge grind. The amount of time you'd spend days doing the same thing, only to go up one level when you eventually got 2 legendary engrams to form into a new item. But then, the later expansions just completely went past that problem, and I feel like they fixed it. They made it more accessible. Obviously, it wasn't as hard to get to the higher levels, but it definitely improved in my opinion. And I'm so excited and deeply upset the PC version is coming out 2 months later.
Because I'm trying to tell you something. Don't be a biatch and get it on PC. Get it with us on console.
See, I'm willing to give it a go though. Like, I think Destiny 2 will be a good game. So I'm not saying Bungie have done anything wrong in terms of Destiny 2. I'm just saying that I felt let down by Destiny 1 towards the end of its life.
Yeah.
Kind of, and I just wish that things had gone differently with that game. If things had gone differently with Destiny 1, Destiny 2 would be way higher up my list.
I'm just hoping this is the year of the sequels where they get it right this time.
Yeah.
Destiny 2, get it right. Battlefront 2, get it right. All this sort of stuff. Just
Oh,
please.
see,
you've
Battlefront
learned.
2 looks
I hope you've
promising.
learned. Get
Nice.
it right.
Are we going to have a fun segue onto the second
Oh, what a
pick?
Is this
Which
what we're going? Oh, speaking
sequel?
of Battlefront.
Which Battlefront 2, John's fourth pick, not fourth pick, fifth pick, Ben's fourth pick, and my second pick, which is Battlefront 2. God damn, I'm
Ooh.
excited for this game. It's
Yes, same here.
Mhm.
I get the first one. Because did you guys play the originals on the PS2 or original
Yeah.
I
Xbox
played 2, yeah.
or PC?
I played them both on
Both
PlayStation.
Played it on
fantastic games.
PSP.
And what was great about them was that they got better. So when you got the second one was a lot better than the first one. They realized what was good and what could be improved, and they just took that advice to heart and they worked on it and made a fantastic game. And then EA made the next one and rushed it to get it out in time with The Force Awakens.
Oh, what's that you like? Okay, we'll drop all of that.
Yeah, it was just very.
Because
Well, it just didn't feel like a
fuck
full
you.
game. I'm sure that wasn't the game developers' intentions. I'm sure they had lots of ideas to implement, but the publishers probably wanted it out with the same time as
Yeah.
Force Awakens, so they didn't give them a chance to put that stuff in.
Does anyone know, are there 2 teams that work on Battlefront? Isn't there like the multiplayer people, DICE, and then don't they have a single player one now? So they've got
I'm
another
not sure
another
about
sort
that.
of subcategory, sub-company working on the single player specifically. I don't know that for a fact, I can't remember. But yeah. We got an actual single player rather than, you know, let's add a slight scenario to this horde mode sort of thing.
I'm not sure, but I think the campaign for this one sounds really interesting. The multiplayer looks fantastic. It looks like they've developed new game modes and they've really put a lot more effort into this one. And I don't know about the only thing. I sound very negative in this talk. The only thing I'm hoping isn't the case. I was talking about one of my friends with this. Is that it looked like I'm hoping this is just a one-off game mode, but it looked like the heroes weren't consistent with the timeline you were fighting in. So Rey could be fighting in the Clone Wars. Like I hope that in the main game modes that's not the case. They keep each hero relevant to their own time period.
I think it's going to be the case, John, that you can play every hero in each timeline, and I think that's simply because they probably don't have enough heroes at release to warrant like each age having its own.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is if you did it that way, I guess the Clone Wars would have loads because there's so many Jedi in the Clone Wars. But yeah, when you get to the original trilogy timeline, you really got just Luke, Vader with lightsabers.
Chewie, Han.
Or you could, if they were willing to, go into the Rebels TV series. You can bring in Ezra, Kanan. Kanan would be amazing to bring in. I love Kanan. He would be so cool to bring
One
in.
of the things that, I don't know if you've watched the actual footage they had for it. They had Rex from the TV series doing the footage for the clone side. He was talking about what they had to the objective, and it was
Oh, really?
Rex from the TV show. Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
just
That's
see that.
amazing. I love Rex. That's really cool. Did you know?
And they had the Darth Maul was same, voiced by the the guy in the show.
He's
as well.
the guy from
Yeah.
Darth Maul from Rebels and Clone Wars. He's a fantastic voice actor. Did you guys know in Return of the Jedi there's a really heavily bearded Rebel soldier on Endor Moon, and they've confirmed that's Rex, which is really cool. I think a nice little tie-in. But yeah, this game does look genuinely amazing. It's a very stunning visually stunning. There you go. got my words
Visually
twisted.
game.
And like I said, it just looks like it's kind of like you know what they wanted to do with the first one, but they didn't have time. It's like now they've got the time. They really kind of put 120% into this game, and it really looks like it's paying off.
I'm looking forward to the story as well, because the story is, it picks up directly after the Death Star is destroyed, the second Death Star is destroyed, and they're all like, what do we do now, sort of thing. So now you actually find out what they're going to do, and it's all canon, so, yeah.
Ooh, speaking of which, did you see how there was a glitch at E3, and there was a picture of Rey with Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber? And people were like, "Oh my God, is this have they given it away that Obi-Wan's her father or something?" And then the EA had to come out and go, "No, it was just a glitch. Don't worry. It's we haven't given anything away. That was an accident. It wasn't meant to be there. It's a mistake."
Oh, man, I wonder how many people got fired.
I wonder how many people got really excited as well. Like,
Yeah.
I knew it.
Mind blown!
But yeah, I thought that was funny. But yeah, this game does look insane. I'll be pre-ordering Battlefront 2 definitely and getting it for release.
And then
obviously big. Did they confirm it? No paid DLC.
They did
Yeah, they
confirm
have,
it. And
yeah.
no season pass. Yep.
No season pass.
are you
that
ready
is
for
fantastic.
microtransactions?
Yeah, but if it's
I
cosmetic, I'm
guess.
okay with that.
Yeah, cosmetic, absolutely fine. Pay to win, get the better guns, then fuck you.
I don't know how
Yeah.
they do it. I can't imagine. Yeah, it's like
It can't be pay to win
there
like
must
that.
be a. They must have seen some logic. Like every time you come out with some sort of season pass with maps attached to it, the amount of people that like buy the DLC and therefore there are less people playing the DLC because no one buys Beyond the First. Like my one is Battlefield 1. There are so little people playing the DLCs. It's the only way you play the game is by just playing the original maps because no one's playing.
I think people feel reluctant once they've paid like 40, 50 quid for a game to then go out and spend another like 10, 15, 20 pounds on DLC
Well, it's
for
another,
the same
it's another
game.
40, 50 game, another 40 quid for all the DLC. So it's like,
It's
no?
kind of like, yeah, what do we need this? Not really. Like, that's just. So yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, that's a different conversation entirely about DLC.
Okay, well I think we will move on to the first place position, which was Ben's second pick, John's first pick, and my fourth pick, which is Assassin's Creed Origins, which I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
to be number one.
I'm amazed, John, it's your number one. You're never
so-
a massive fan of them back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I said
That's
to him
my
earlier.
thing.
I wasn't a fan of the first game. I thought it was a bit too repetitive. I really enjoyed the second. I never played the third, and I've
was
only played
crap.
multiplayer on the fourth. And I didn't even play the
Technically,
London or
it's not
France
the fourth,
ones.
John.
What, Black Flag?
It's number 4, but it's not the
Oh.
fourth.
But, well, anyway,
Scrub.
the reason this is number one on my list is, one, I love the setting, ancient Egypt. I think that's... we don't have enough games set in that time period, and I think it's a really interesting time period to focus on.
Give us Japan next, please.
Everyone's wondering why I haven't done Japan. But I just, yeah, it's incredible. And it looked really good fun. The stories got me interested and intrigued. And also, it looks like they're adding... I know there's always been elements of, like, fantasy and, like, elements within the original games. But in this game, even more so. Like, did you see, like, the giant snake? So it looks like they may be
Yeah.
including some kind of, like, ancient, like,
mythology-esque.
monsters. Mythological monsters.
I mean,
And, it just looks so cool.
if you played all the stories, you would realize how kind of weird and wacky and all over the place this main storyline of Assassin's Creed is. Anyway, so I'm very excited for it. It's a fourth on my list because when they showed off the footage, he found like a legendary bow, didn't he? And he then, like, when he shot the arrow, I think, to kill the guy, whether or not it was like a time thing where you saw the arrow go through the air, but it almost looked like he was steering the arrow, and that's just what it looked like to me. And if that's the case, I'm really not liking the idea of it. I'm not liking the idea of a bow that you can just fire up into the air and then just UAV drone it into people in the distance.
I
Like,
don't remember that, but yeah, if
It
they do
just-
that, that's
Wait, that
silly.
wasn't a real weapon back in those days? Damn.
Bow?
I know that they basically added in, like, when you press some button on your controller or whatever keyboard, you can just instantly go to bird mode and just fly around and mark targets. Like, it just seems very similar to Wildlands,
Tom,
and that's
it's,
why
it's a Ubisoft game.
it wasn't higher on my list for me.
Why are you surprised?
So
Ben, as the resident Assassin's Creed fan, compared to
Hello.
other Assassin's Creeds, where do you think, in terms of your impression of this one, it's going to line up in your terms of favourites?
Probably pretty bloody high. My favourites are 2 and Brotherhood. Brotherhood's the one that came after 2. I started to lose interest at Revelations, which is the one after Brotherhood. Then 4 came along, which was like, just stupidly good, and I loved the main character. And then obviously Unity, what happened to Unity. That was a mess. And Syndicate, I haven't actually properly played Syndicate. I need to. I've got it. I just need to play it through.
I played it.
But-
I played every single one.
What sort of lost it for me? I mean, actually, I missed one, 3. I suffered 3 just to get to the storyline. What ruined it for me is when they brought guns in. It just became too. I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Well, you don't have to worry about guns in this
I know
one.
that's what this is done for me. It's going back to bows. Fine, I love bows. Bows are cool. No problem with bows. But when you bring in like things like muskets and handguns, and it's like, I just don't care for them in this sort of game. I don't want them there. Get rid of them. It's not a stealth weapon. It doesn't feel like a stealth game. Then it feels like
Silenced musket.
yeah. I mean, you have a crossbow thing, which is cool. That was awesome. But a bow is just that much better for me. I like that. It makes me happy to play. And the shield combat looks very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's another thing that's really cool is because assassins normally in most games are stereotype with like dual daggers or something very quick and fast weaponry. I love the fact he's got a shield.
Yeah.
It's just different, and it's so cool.
And it's just a little light one, not like a giant
Yeah, it's not like a big tower
behemoth
shield
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did dabble with that sort of thing in the past, but it was a bit meh. It was kind of like, oh, this is on the floor, I'll pick it up or something.
Question for you guys: what do you think? What did you feel was missing from E3 this year? Are there any games you didn't see that you would like to have seen? Skate 4.
I would have
Apart
liked to
from
have seen
Okay,
something for Halo.
Yeah.
I would have liked more footage from that.
I also would have liked if they told me Destiny was coming
What's
out
the
the same day on
company?
PC as console.
Never. The Star Wars game by Visceral.
The one that
Oh,
got
yeah,
cancelled years ago. Oh no,
No.
there is a Visceral
No,
one.
not 1313. The
Oh,
new
yeah.
one, which we know nothing about. They showed us that little clip of the guy walking out the
Cantina. Yeah.
I guess the cantina. Yeah.
Now the one I
that
really
looked
wanted
stunning.
to see, which fair enough, it wasn't there because we already saw something for it last year. No, well, I was really hoping for Elder Scrolls. No, Last of Us 2.
Oh yeah.
I love the first one, but obviously it's fair enough. We saw a really kick-ass trailer for the second one.
We've seen a lot of it already.
I know, and I think they know. People know who played the first one. They're gonna buy the second. They don't need to go overboard with it. And to be honest, if it means they're focusing on making the game, and if they're not quite at a stage yet where they're ready to show something new and they're working on it, I'm glad they skipped E3 to keep working on it.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, I think Last of Us 2 would have been amazing to see, and a new Elder Scrolls would have been fantastic as well. Next year, next E3.
Yeah, we got Morrowind and for ESO.
Yeah, true.
Well,
actually,
you
to be fair,
haven't got it. But I mean, you could get it.
I've got back into ESO
So.
recently though, and it is good fun. I do enjoy it.
Hmm.
Although you could argue that's kind of pay to win because the new Warden class is quite OP. And you can only get it if you buy the DLC for Morrowind. So, yeah.
For Honor Syndrome.
Can't think of much else to really say. I mean, it was quite.
Do we want to
clearly
talk
it
about
was
the Xbox One X?
Oh god, that thing.
Are you guys going to buy it?
That
No.
thing.
No, I'm happy with my
again,
original Xbox.
Why would you buy something like that? The problem is, it's going to be.
We need to
4K.
get Rick in here.
It's going to be
He'll
4K,
tell you why.
and then it's just going to be a like 30 FPS. For me, FPS is way more important than like the quality. I'd rather get like high FPS than have 4K. So if it's 4K at 30 FPS, yeah, it looks pretty, but the entire time I'm going to be sitting there going like, I'm getting a small seizure from how slow this is. And it's just, it's not really, in my opinion, worth the value for money, especially considering it's more powerful than the PlayStation, like Pro is, but not powerful enough to be able to run 4K 60 FPS. So
That's fair enough.
I'm willing just to wait for an entirely new console. It's not Xbox One, the next generation of Xbox. I think I'm happy to wait for. To be honest,
Or if I can just
mine does
trade it
everything I
in.
need it to. I'm perfectly happy with my Xbox One. It does everything I want. So
Do you try to turn it on later?
yeah. Oh, it's overheated and exploded. No, there's no red ring.
and then you're gonna have a printed out disc come out that says buy Xbox One X.
Yeah. You want to
And
play
then
this
we'll
game?
give you back your
Get
Xbox
the
One now.
get the new Xbox
Wasn't
One
there the
console,
rumor though
dog.
that you would also have to pay for the upgraded graphics?
Oh, what? Then buy the game again, kind of?
No, like so you buy like the game that I don't know, maybe you buy a normal version, but a lot of times companies are gonna have to like they already when they make PC they make one for Xbox, one for PlayStation, and one for PC. The PC tends to be left in the dust because it's so much more work is done because everyone's computer's different from each other's, whereas Xbox is all the same, PlayStation all the same. So a lot of people are thinking, does that mean that if you want to get the 4K quality, you have to pay for it because it's like another version of the game the developers have to work on as well. So a lot of people are thinking that, and I know a lot of games might not come out with it. For all we know, this could be a gimmick that literally lasts like a year, and then developers just stop doing it because it's just not worth the time. I doubt it will be the case, but it seems like at the moment only the exclusives are actually getting this 4K experience.
Yeah.
So
Not like the Kinect.
plus you need a 4K TV, so it's not even like it's just 500. Well, it's probably at £400. It's probably about £500, and then another £500 on a TV, just so you can play. You can use the Xbox the way it's supposed to be used. There you go. I got my venting out about this console.
And on that happy note, I think it's probably a good time to end. We've had a good run. I think it's been interesting. Interesting to see what you guys like. Also interesting to see Ben's number one pick wasn't even a full game.
At least I like good games. Wait, one of my games never came
what was
up.
that? Sorry, I
One
think
of
I
mine never even made the list.
What didn't?
Ashen.
Well,
It's
of all the games on the list, Ben only had 7 of his picks in the top 10, and me and John
Yeah.
both had 8 of ours.
It's because he's wrong.
Because Ben,
Thanks.
you picked you picked very different games.
Yes, because I like different things, because I'm better.
I think because I'm different.
Anyway, I guess that's there to call it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more of our super content, please click the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it.
Super subscribe.
Until then, we will see you next time.
See you all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.